certainly an attractive but an ominous note in terms of home schedules for the Saints next year, with both Carolina and Denver coming to the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Ken Trahan, sportsNOLAtv, Premier Nissan of Metairie, and the New Orleans Saints, of course, already full-fledged into their offseason with a whole bunch of changes being made. And you knew change was coming when a team hasn't been successful for a couple of years, and so we've had that change. And coaching changes, quite a few of those that the Saints have now made, and the latest change being Peter Junta to come on board as a senior defensive assistant. Dan Campbell coming on board as assistant head coach and tight ends coach. Aaron Glenn will coach the secondary. Joe Lombardi back to coach quarterbacks. Wesley McGriff leaves for Auburn. Mike New to Ball State. Brett Engels released. And, of course, Kyle DeVan to Ball State as well. So, Brian, you would expect changes, and as we've said before, maybe not done yet. We shall see. Bottom line is, the fresh approach certainly won't help or won't hurt when you consider the fact that they've been 7-9 the last 2 years.
Yeah, they last offseason they turned over a lot of their personnel, almost 50%, and they made some coaching changes as well last year. So I'm with you, Kenny. I think that sometimes that when you get new people, the message comes across differently from a new person. And look, all these guys appear to be well connected and good changes, good additions to the staff, and we know some of them already. Joe Lombardi being one, and I think that's a good addition.
So, Ricky, you have a senior defensive assistant in Peter Junta. You have a defensive coordinator in Dennis Allen, and you have basically an assistant head coach in Joe Vitt. Is that a lot of Chiefs?
Yeah, you got a lot of Chiefs that can, but the whole bottom line is the players. I mean, you can get all those guys. You don't have enough players to go out and win ball games and beat people. The defense need players. You see what Carolina, we just got through bragging about Carolina and how great they players is. You need players to win the ball game. You can go out there, the coach is not going to play. You need somebody on the field to win the ball game.
Interestingly enough, the Saints played Carolina pretty well twice. They had a chance to beat them both times. One in Carolina with Luke McCowney quarterback, but for one bad decision at the end of the game, they might have won. And the second game in New Orleans, scoring over 30 points against that defense.
Yeah, it's funny how divisional rivals come into play here. You're absolutely right. The one thing that it just hits you over the head when you watch these playoff teams, and as they get closer to Super Bowl 50, you realize how close or how far away are the Saints when you see a DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller put that kind of pressure on both ends. The Saints don't have that, and they don't have. They're getting better. Okay, they need an accompaniment for Cameron Jordan, but you see what they're missing and what they've got to get.
Well, they don't even have one guy that you need to account for.
No, you're right.
When it comes to pass rush, Richie, Cameron Jordan's a good player, but not an elite player as a pass rusher. You got to at least have that one guy that attracts a double team.
But I think that if you get him surrounded with some more good players, he can be that one player. Mm-hmm. But just to say, everybody gonna focus on him. He's not that player, but I think if you get him across the board, 2 or 3 more good pass rushers, then he can beat this man one-on-one. But you got secondary that you need a whole lot of help, and then it come to linebacker. So you need a good 7 or 8 guy turnaround to make sure that you get to where you can stay up with the Carolinas and Atlanta.
I don't disagree with you, but when you say 7 or 8, okay, you start adding up cap dollars and guys that make impacts, you're looking at several years down the road. But I know what you mean. I'm with you.
Because the guys there who you giving money to, they can't win. They can't get the job done. Right. So you might well go find somebody who can get the job done.
Let's take a look at the off-season schedule for the New Orleans Saints. Dates are now established as it happens real fast. Of course, Senior Bowl this week, and a lot of attention will be paid to that. Scouting Combine in Indianapolis, of course, toward the end of February. March 1st, deadline to declare franchise transition players. Then the ability to contact free agents, free agent period. Saints hosting the NFL Regional Training Combine, NFL annual meetings, and then, of course, what we call the OTAs, the off-season workouts taking place, and the draft coming up April 28th through the 30th. And, Ricky, it all starts with the Senior Bowl. You're just back from the East-West Shrine Game. Congratulations for your honor of induction into that Hall of Fame. In terms of the Senior Bowl, This is a chance for your coaches to get up close and personal, see guys in one-on-one workouts. That's more important than the game itself, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you can see what kind of character the guy there is, and you can see what kind of athletes. Just like I went to the East Red Shrine game this weekend, so I got a chance to look at those guys firsthand and see what they can do. And I've seen a lot of great athletes that can really help the Saints at the East Red Shrine game. But the Senior Bowl is you have a lot more, and that's what I mean. All the big-time guys try to go to the Senior Bowl to show their talent, but you know what I mean? But a lot of them don't want to play there, so I like to go to the bowl game that guys really trying to be hungry and want to play, because a lot of guys get to the Senior Bowl, the agent try to tell them don't get hurt, you know, and stuff like that. But when you go to those smaller games, those guys are really busting their butt to play.
Yeah, the interviews and the one-on-ones, Brian, in terms of working out, sometimes that's what puts a team over the edge to pick a guy.
Absolutely. You know, of the things, you know, you're looking at physicals in the combine and interview process, and this is the first step toward getting to know these guys better. And you're right, you're looking for good diamonds in the rough, because everybody knows the premier elite players. It's those diamonds in the rough, and the Saints have been pretty good about identifying those kind of players.
We found out yesterday about the 3 finalists for the Walter Payton Man of the Year in the NFL, and 2 out of 3 ain't bad, as Meatloaf said, because we got 2 guys that we know very well and care a lot for. Anquan Bolden, I'm sure, is a good guy. Congratulations to him. But check this out. Eli Manning out of Newman High School, New Orleanian through and through, and Benjamin Watson, who's just been incredible here as a player, as a teammate, as an author. And frankly, if Eli wins, I'll be very happy. But if Benjamin Watson doesn't win, I'll be surprised, based on everything that's happened during the offseason.
Well, you know, Ken, all 3 of those guys is close to me. Anquan Bolden, you know, we're from the same high school, same hometown, born and raised together. So
you can't lose.
One of them, I can't lose.
Wow. Kenny, I'm with you with regards to, I mean, Eli is an outstanding person, but boy, Benjamin Watson, there's just something special about this guy.
Well, I think the book that Benjamin Watson wrote that's gotten tremendous critical acclaim and deals with tough issues that people largely don't want to discuss, in particular when it pertains to race. And the way Ben Watson expresses himself, I don't think anybody finds fault with it. He can get people to agree from every walk of life, regardless of whether you're rich or poor, black or white, regardless of what party affiliation you have. That's a unique quality, Ricky. We don't see that very often in this society.
No, and I mean, I look at him, and I think he's a great young man, and even with Eli, I mean, I've been seeing Eli ever since he was a kid.
Right.
And to see the money that Eli done raised, and I mean, I was just reading the other day that, I mean, the $20 and the $30 million that this guy done raised, I mean, that's really helping people out when you give them money.
And he does it differently than his brother. He's more reserved and quieter, doesn't draw attention. Not that Payton does, but Payton gets a lot of attention.
Well, Payton used to beat him up, so he had to get all the attention to Big Brother.
Final point, Brian.
You know, the 3 guys here, it's so good to just be able to identify and recognize people that are making a difference, because the NFL gets a bad rep. A lot of times it's deserved, but in this case, these are 3 outstanding men, and they can't go wrong with whomever they choose.
It's time now for our sportsNOLA.com trivia question of the evening. The Senior Bowl takes place Saturday in Mobile. Who is the only former Saints player to be named MVP of the Senior Bowl? Only one. Brian shakes his head. When we return in just a moment, the answer plus high school football and the dilemma facing LHSAA principals, executive committee, and more as Sports NOLA TV continues.